I didn't realize it until doing the edit and listening to the audio that I got very faint EVPs at location number 2. This is the spot. So the plan for this video is for me to do Randonautica as kind of a jumping off point for explaining how the spirit world will use technology to influence us or to pass on messages. The first time I saw anything about Randonautica, it was on the YouTube channel Amy's Crypt, where she got this app and it sent her to a haunted house. So I pull out my phone, I download the app, I decided, oh, I need a place where I have space and I'm away from other people where I can film, because I want to go film. And so this was the first time just trying it out to see if it would possibly work. So this is my intent, and I kind of said it out loud. I didn't input anything into the app. I pushed a button, the coordinates show up, and they are in the middle of a field, like right in the middle of a field, a sports field of a local school. And I'm like, that's absolutely away from people and has space where I could film. It was kind of like, okay, this thing does work. I know this thing will work. And I know that spirits will use technology to be able to give us messages or influence us. And so, wow, this is like the next level of them being able to use technology that way. So this time I'm going to use Randonautica to make a video about the other side using technology to influence us and to pass on messages. I download the app, do my intentions. I want somewhere comfortable. I want somewhere safe, ideal for filming, and I want an objective sign or example of how the other side can influence or manipulate technology, time, space, or perception. And I get the first coordinates. The first coordinates send me to a residential neighborhood, like in front of somebody's house. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, that feels kind of awkward. That feels like, I don't know if that's working or not. So I'm gonna do a second location just to make sure I've got somewhere to go. Second location sends me to a little street right outside of LAX. Totally looks like a place where I could go and do my thing. So I head off to location number 1. Location number 1 is a house in a residential area. It is kind of creepy and it's kind of weird. I don't know, it makes me think of like fairies and stuff, and this house was just basically covered in vegetation. It was like a bush with a hole for where you could get in to go to the door and where you could go into the garage. It's kind of weird, kind of strange. I'd actually love to hang out there probably and check it out for a while, but I felt pretty self-conscious and didn't want to invade anybody's privacy, so it just didn't feel right for me to get out and investigate the place at all, and it's also not how I would do things. There wasn't anything that was uncanny about it or obviously a message from the other side or meets my intention requirements of somewhere that the other side specifically showing me that they can manipulate technology. It wasn't me being influenced. It wasn't obvious anyway. With a lot of these things, I don't write them off as being, oh, a miss or something, because a lot of times it will become obvious later. Something will be like, no way, this is actually why I was taken to this place. So I'm not sure. It wasn't obvious, so I'm saying it. Nothing happened so far. So I go to location number 2. This is right next to LAX. I didn't realize it until doing the edit and listening to the audio that I got very faint EVPs at location number 2. So I've put the text captions on the screen. spot. It is an office building with a locked entry, so I couldn't go inside, I couldn't get inside. There was a deli nearby, there was a hotel, there was like car rental. There are all these things right around there, but in the specific spot that I felt like I was being told this is my location, I didn't feel anything obvious. There wasn't anything that met my intentional requirements. So I just kind of poked around and looked around for a little bit right there and decided that that one also didn't really work for me. So I don't know if Randonautica failed this time or if I didn't poke around enough or investigate enough. That might be the case. And then also there's the possibility that it doesn't make sense now, but it will later. One thing that points to that being the case is that I noticed my keychain, this little guy broke off. This is a keychain that I made that has got a little cross and a bunch of stones or crystals attached to it that serve different purposes. And I didn't realize it until I got home and took my keys out of my pocket. I have fairies on my team sometimes, and the fairies will actually break my keychain to give me a warning that I need to watch out, I need to be careful. And this hasn't happened for probably a year or so. So I need to pay attention tonight, pay attention to my dreams, pay attention to other things around, and see if something happens, see if I brought somebody back from these locations. Maybe I was sent there to go pick somebody up and help somebody into the light or something like that. So that's a big deal to me, the breaking of my keychain. One reason I wanted to use Randonautica was as a jumping off point for explaining that the spirits can use technology to influence us and pass on messages. One of the most basic ways spirits will use technology, and this isn't a big tech thing, but using electricity is like in poltergeist kind of cases where they'll flicker lights or they'll turn off or turn on electrical devices, and it's to get our attention or to make us aware of something related to that. But the things that I find crazy are them using our technology, like using our phones to do things with us. There are a lot of stories where people are receiving text messages and phone calls from past loved ones. This is something that you can look into. There are quite a few stories of this. There are apps like tarot apps and apps that do fortune telling and stuff like that. And I've used quite a few of those, and they're pretty accurate. It's weird. And it makes no sense that the other side can get into your phone or into an app to adjust something. Randonautica is a good example because you don't input any information in the app to have it send you places. It just sends you places. You put in intentions, you talk to yourself, you talk to the other side, you're putting thoughts into the air. You aren't touching the device. You don't even say anything necessarily. It sends you where you intend to go without you inputting anything into the app. And I can be pretty skeptical of these kind of things too. And sometimes the responses are too accurate or too relevant at the time to just be random. The Ovilus is another example, or other ghost boxes, where it's just this device that senses environmental factors and associates those with a word in a word bank. And the words that come out are really crazy because they relate to what's going on at the time. And they'll come out multiple times, the same word. The odds of this kind of thing happening are pretty wild too. So Spirits will use the Ovilus, or they'll use ghost boxes. That's just a more generic version of the same thing. And you can get apps on your phone that will just spit out words. And I don't know how that works, but the other side can manipulate the technology to pass messages through those devices also. A big one for me is through EVPs, and this is electronic voice phenomena. I don't know if it is them manipulating electronic files to insert voices or insert messages into this stuff, or if it is just something being recorded at the time, or even live while reviewing it, if they're able to imprint voices in your audio file. So it's another one. I don't know how it works with all of these things. That's why it's really hard for me to go with it. But it works. As much as I don't like using some of these devices, and I don't actually use some of these devices, they work. I've seen them work. Do I trust that they always work? No, not at all. But Randonautica, I'm willing to try it again. And I haven't written off my 2 locations that I went to. I'm not sure if they're going to play into something later. If they do, I'll definitely let you know. If you've enjoyed this, please share, please subscribe. I'd love for this channel to grow. Also comment. I'd like to hear how spirits have affected technology to give you messages or influence you. And thanks for watching.